Call this meeting to order. Please stand for the pledge of allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing in a silent prayer for the recent passing of Arabella Parker and all victims who suffer from child abuse. All right, thank you. Please have a seat. Roll call, please.
Karlovic.
Here.
Kramer. Here. Reichner.
Here.
Reese. Ister.
Yes. Special meeting was held on November 12th, 2019 to pass a resolution for the city to apply for a multi-model transportation grant. Is there any audience comment on agenda items only at this time?
You just stand there and
Is
go
there-
to the podium.
Do you have a comment?
I got some things I want to say, yes. I don't know if that's where it falls.
Yep, is it regarding anything on the agenda in that paper?
Yeah.
Okay, please come to the podium. State your name.
My name is Rich Stahl Jr. I want to address about the, I know this Chestnut Street is being done in stages, is what I've heard. I don't know, I heard it was done in 3 stages. I don't know what stage we're actually on right now. I talked to the sewer and water company down there across from the Chestnut Street Towers. The sewer is so bad through the summertime, it's coming out of the drainage. And they, the sewer company said that they get calls about it all the time and it's not their responsibility. It's under the new 3 stages there. And I was told that there was supposed to be a trap stuck on this to keep the gases from coming out. And they told me he actually talked to you, Jimmy. And I told him that I would come to the meeting and address it.
That's true, there's going to be a flapper designed because of the gut right there. And the size of the pipe, of course, was enlarged because of the stormwater situation. So yes, they are working and designing a flap for there.
All right, because like I said, I'm here because my mother-in-law, she has a pretty big family and she can't even hold an album no more because it's so bad.
There are times it gets bad because
Yeah.
of the gas.
And she said it was never like that until they did Chestnut
Right.
Street. She lived there for years.
That's true.
So I said I would bring it and see if I was
You're
doing
absolutely right.
So it would just take probably a little bit more time to complete it, I guess.
Yeah, like I said, there are a couple of different designs and that's where they're at right now.
Okay. All right,
Anything else?
not right now.
Okay, thank you.
Any other audience comments on agenda items only at this time? All right, thank you. I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of October 14th, 2019, October 28th, 2019, November 12th, 2019, and the reports of the fire department, police department, treasurer, engineer, code office, and planning commission. Do I have a second?
Second.
Kramer. Yes. Reichner.
Yes.
Ister.
Yes.
Karlovic.
Yes. And on to the police contract amendment.
Yes, the police contract which we entered earlier this fall contained a line which was basically an oversight from the prior contract. The line states that the city shall pay each active officer the reimbursement for the annual deductible pursuant to the insurance contract. That being said, the Police Officers Association and the city were able to discuss the same. We agreed that that was not something that was discussed as going to be part of this contract, and therefore we are seeking to add this addendum to the contract merely to delete that line therefrom. The Sunbury City Police Officers Association has graciously signed both Corporal Travis Bremagen and Officer Brad Slack on behalf of the Police Officers Association, has signed this addendum indicating their agreement therewith, and it merely awaits the okay of the council so that the addendum will be put into effect.
So I make a motion to accept this addendum to the police contract.
I'll second it. Reichner.
Yes.
Ister.
Yes.
Karlovic.
Yes.
Kramer. Yes.
Brad, if you could just give the update.
Yeah, I'll come up front now. The mayor asked me to just kind of brief the public and also council just on the things that have been going over the past 18 months. Everybody knows how shorthanded we have been. We're back up to, right now, 8 officers. Hopefully we'll get some more, but that's, future will tell that. But essentially, I just want to kind of go over the numbers. Alone last year, between July of 2018, since I became the officer in charge, until now, people say about drug arrests and DUIs and stuff we've been doing. From July till now, to the end of October, we've actually made over 187 drug arrests throughout the city. Now, that could be paraphernalia, possession, delivery, anything of that sort. We've made, in the last 16 months, 88 DUI arrests. So, to say that these guys, when I say guys, it could be girls if we had a female police officer, but I'm just saying the guys in general, the officers themselves have been working really hard over the last 16 months. They're busting their butts to make our department what it is. It wasn't just me, it wasn't the mayor, it wasn't council, it was the whole department. The department as a whole have really been working hard. And to say that we were not stressed out, we were stressing, but we kind of kept thinking, let's go forward. Some of the other stats, just want to go over just some briefly, some numbers. Up to this date alone, to the end of October, we've been dispatched to 7,608 calls. That's essentially 80 calls a month every officer is handling. 80 calls per month that each officer is handling. That's what they're being dispatched to. Some of those calls, with accidents, vehicle accidents alone, we've been dispatched to 143 vehicle accidents this year, whether they're reportable or non-reportable. Disturbances, over 375 disturbances this year alone. Domestic violence calls, over 168 domestic violence calls this year. I mean, it just goes on and on. Thefts, we've had over 204 theft reports. Suspicious activities, over 200 calls. So to say the least, that the officers have been very busy and they've been working hard. Some of the things that we've been doing over the last year to upgrade our department, and you probably have heard me saying in the past about the computers in the cars, the mock, the bots, JNet clean. Every officer now in our department is JNet certified, which means we can run, our vehicles are now mobile stations that we can pretty much do everything right out of the vehicles. Some of those from the previous administration, they got the equipment, but nothing was ever put forward to get working and get moving. So with Mock, what Mock is it's a field map of the city of Sunbury, and it tracks basically where the officers go. It's a GPS tracking system in our cars alone that we can follow the officers around where they're going, so we know where they're at all times. And it's also a safety issue with the Mock. We use it for safety also. Also with Mock, we were able to communicate with other departments throughout the whole state of Pennsylvania, whoever has Mock. And I think right now we have over 50 departments throughout the whole state of Pennsylvania that we're able to communicate if they need something from our area, or if we know we need something from their area, we can log in. It's just like a text message. We can text them and ask them what's going on, or if we need information. Some of the other things that with the hiring of Officer Terry Ketchum, we now have a DUI trailer program in the city of Sunbury, so that helps us enforce the DUI laws. With Officer Tamborelli, we have a mobile unit for radios and projects, and we're hopefully by next year we'll have a drone program for the city of Sunbury alone to help with like search and rescue and stuff that we need to do our job better. So the drone program alone is going to be a big asset to the city. I've implemented, since last year, we're doing a lot of the in-house training now. So it's not costing as much, even though next year in the budget, we have increased our training budget to get everybody the best training we can get them, including myself, the other corporal, and everybody else that's in the department. So we've just been more involved. You guys understand, the guys are excited. They're having fun. We're having fun again. We're out there with the public. Today, Officer Ketchum was out with the Boy Scouts. They were painting around the drains with the Boy Scouts. They had a nice talk with them, helping them out. We're just getting out there trying to get more public relations with the police so they're not afraid of us. Because the one thing I can't stand is when I'm walking down the street and somebody says, "Hey, tell my you tell my little one, if you don't, doesn't listen, you're gonna take him to jail. Well, that's not what we're all about. We're all about making sure we're pleasant to the community as a whole, and also kids too. We wanna make sure the kids can come to us, they feel safe. So those are just some of the highlights that we've done over the last 18 months alone. And I appreciate, again, we couldn't have done this, not just me, the mayor, the council, it's every one of the police officers in the city right now have been working their tails off to make the city safer and better. It's not perfect, it will never be perfect, but we can say that I'm really grateful to what they have all done, stepped up. There really wasn't a lot of complaining, there really wasn't. As little as we were, there wasn't complaining from us. We tried to do what we could with what we had, and again, I appreciate everybody's help with that.
May I ask a quick question?
Sure.
I want to commend the police officers, and I do see a difference, and they're wanting to be involved and professional, but be involved with the community and talk to people. My question is that, what is the percentage of the crime? Is it lower now, or have you seen an increase?
Well, you're seeing, it depends. It fluctuates throughout the year, Ms. Russell. It really does. Summertime, we'll see more, the crime increases, your smaller petty crimes, like your little thefts, vehicle break-ins, stuff like that. With the meth epidemic we're having right now, it's not just heroin, but it's meth. And meth and heroin really are taking a strong hold of the valley here. And we're really trying to work on that and trying to get a better hold of that. One of the issues is with that is a lot of our guys are on what we call our probation for the city, so there's some things they can't do yet, but there are a lot of them will be coming off next year, and we'll be able to move a lot more on the heroin and the meth epidemic. The methamphetamine epidemic is really, it's taken over the nation, really.
So crime is up.
Crime is up a little bit, but I don't want people to be worried like, oh my gosh, this crime's rampant, but it's everywhere. It's not just Sunbury. It's not just a Sunbury problem. I want to reiterate that very much. It is not just a Sunbury problem. It's all over.
And I'm only asking that because I'm finally glad to see that the police are giving a report to the public. That's usually what police officers, when they're here at these meetings, are supposed to do. Let the public know what is going on. So thank you very much, whoever's idea that was. But again, it would be helpful to say, okay, well, it's down, domestic violence is down by 2%. Just a suggestion. And
Now,
thank you.
every month I submit a report to the city, and it's always available for anybody who wants to see what the calls that we've handled for the month. So that's always available for anybody to see. All you gotta do is ask for a copy, and they'll get you a copy.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Anything else?
So as mayor of the city of Sunbury, I am both pleased and excited that I have concluded our nationwide search for a chief of police. After careful review of all candidates and review of the history of our police force, it is my pleasure to announce that I have chosen current officer in charge, Corporal Brad Hare, to be the new chief of police for the city of Sunbury moving forward. I have not undertaken this choice lightly and have attempted to look far into the future relative to the best choice to lead our city police department forward into a new and better era. As Brad Hare has undertaken and accomplished the task of holding our police force together while we were so short-staffed and continue to meet the needs of our city, over the last 16 months he has grown great progress in leadership standards for our force. We have been a great working team together, him and I, to lead our police force, and the positive momentum we have built will continue. Corporal Hare has the absolute backing of the officers of our department, both old and new, as he has the best interests of our community at heart, and as he has proven that he is a candidate most able to both continue his fine job as a working officer while accepting the responsibility and task, along with myself, of running our department into a successful future together. I believe that Brad Hare has earned the opportunity to represent our city as chief of police for the department. And finally, Brad's salary and benefits will remain commensurate with the status quo as set forth in the employment agreement. Do you want to review the...
Well, I can't really publicly review the whole terms of it,
No.
but not everybody voting on it, but it can be made available once the vote is taken, but the bottom line is everybody on the council has seen it.
Okay. So I make a motion to accept the employment contract for the chief of police for the city of Sunbury.
I have a question. I have a problem with how the contract was created. We had a meeting, we had an executive session after we interviewed Brad, and we discussed some things, pros and cons along the way, and we came up with a proposed idea to present to Brad. This contract is totally different than what was discussed that night. Now, whether it's good, bad, or indifferent, it's not, and I don't think council had any input in this at all, not like we did the first night. So I have a question on that. Don't have a problem with Brad, known Brad a long time. But I do think that we should have input in the contract before it's voted.
Do you have the date when that email was sent?
It was that 3 weeks ago, the contract.
So the contract, after Brad and I worked together with the solicitor, it was sent to every member of council between 2 and 3 weeks ago. And every member of council had a copy of this contract, and not a single person approached me or I believe Brad Hare regarding the contract as well. This is the first I'm hearing that there is an issue regarding it. So I make a motion to accept this contract so that we can have a chief of police and continue moving our police force forward. Do I have a second?
Second.
Karlovic?
Yes.
Kramer?
Yes.
Reichner?
No on the contract.
Ister?
Yes.
Let it be here and finalized. Corporal Brad Hare is now the chief of police for the city of Sunbury.
Thank you, Mayor.
While they're doing a ring around the rosy around the room, there's a few people I just want to thank. First and foremost, I'll thank my family, my wife. This wasn't an easy decision for me or my wife. We had many arguments over it, more me than her. But it wasn't an easy decision, but it was in the end after I got with the mayor and the solicitor and talking to council, and I respect Mr. Reichner's decision that there's no quarrel between us, and I understand his position. Yep, I understand his position, and I'm okay with that. I'd also like to, again, thank my family, my son Jacob, my son Camden, who's in North Carolina, my daughter Brenna, and my granddaughter Everly, back there, Wyatt, my brother Wesley, and of course my mom is sitting there. But again, thank everybody, and again, my door is always open if anybody has any questions for anything. And again, I look forward to working in the future with everybody here. Thank you.
Brad,
Yes.
I don't know if he's here, but I'd like to give a shout out to one of your officers,
Okay.
Officer Kurtz.
He's not here. He's not attending.
Okay, over the weekend, there was an incident regarding animal abuse, and he was very proactive and made it very clear that Sunbury will not tolerate animal abuse. And
make
that's
sure he
very
knows that.
appreciated.
I will. I'll let him know that. Thank you.
Sure.
A copy of the contract will be made available in the city clerk's office if anybody would like to review it. All right. Ms. Ocker-Bennick.
Yes, so we received the new rates for the Benetcon, which is our health insurance, and council has a handout there before you to see the 2019 rates. the rate increased by 4.9%. And this is excluding the senior plan. And that would represent a $34,000 per year increase. We took a look at the benefits and compared them to what other municipalities are doing. And we saw that our copay for ER visits was $50, where many of the other communities are using a $100 copay. Noting also that if a person uses the emergency department and it is a bona fide emergency, they are not responsible for the copay. That copay is to discourage people from using the emergency room as a primary care or for non-emergency. People can still use urgent care and they can use their primary physicians. Also for specialist visits, the copay had been $20 and that could increase to $40, again being comparable to other plans offered in the area. There's also a telemedicine option that was added this year and that's a $10 copay. If these changes in the copays are put into effect, it would represent a savings of $6,384 per year or $532 a month. So the question before council is, would you want to put these copays in place?
What kind of time frame must we have to make that decision?
What,
To get the
what was
numbers
it?
in close.
What was the co-pays again for doctor's office visits?
For specialist visits,
Special, okay,
right,
okay, sorry.
$20 to $40.
And the police all signed off.
Can you say that, City Clerk?
The police union did sign off on the increase that they agreed with.
You want to make?
Yeah, I'm sorry, Mayor, I talked it over with the union guys prior to me not being union anymore, but they all agreed to help the city save money on that aspect. They agreed to it.
Make a motion?
Reichner?
Yes.
Ister?
Yes.
Karlovic?
Yes.
Kramer?
And Julie, if I understand correctly, we are going to go out next year for pricing.
That is correct. So we have to notify Benetcon by the, I believe it's the 1st of July, to let them know that we are going to be looking. But we're not committed to leave, it's just to let them know that we're looking.
Okay. Susquehanna Valley Community Education Project.
Yes. So, as you council is probably aware of the Susquehanna Valley Community Education Project, they've been here, they presented their project and their goals of establishing a community college here in this area, particularly looking at Sunbury as as the launch site. Dr. Lanier Alam and others met with the mayor back in August, the end of August, and we're discussing about ways that the city might be able to support this effort. Also, I attended the summit about community college on the October 25th. It was in the Albright Center. There is a body of evidence that indicates a very positive economic impact that a community college has on its surrounding communities. It also is very responsive to community, industry, and business needs in the local area. Since that discussion with the mayor and attending the summit, Dr. Allen has sent officially a letter to the council requesting support in the form of $6,000 per year for 1 year for the lease or rent of classroom space. So they are currently can rent classroom space in a local church at the term of $500 per month. With that classroom space, they'll be able to offer both non-credit course offerings and associate degree programs that are accredited by Middle States Commission for Higher Education. So people would begin to be able to take classes. If the city would agree to do this, this would mark a milestone in their journey toward reaching their goal of creating this community college. Now, there are other hurdles that they need to get over. One of them is to partner with a university. If they were able to show the local municipality support, the university then would see that very favorably in then adding their own support. Also, once they have local support, municipality, a university to partner with, then they can move on up to talk to county commissioners and to try to get their support. And so showing the support in building that program, building that momentum is something that would be important to them. So I guess I let it up to the council at this point for any discussion. There are representatives here if you have any questions at this time.
If the city would do this $6,000 a year, is this long-term or can we do this year by year as it progresses?
Thank you, Mayor. I'm Dr. Allen. I think what we would do is we would approach it as a year by year, and once we have that university partner, also get their approvals on that, because they're going to be very critical in providing that umbrella accreditation for the associate degrees. And they will want to have some level of confidence that the classroom space is going to be available in order to offer those programs.
How much space is available at this location for how many students?
There are 7 classrooms, and that is a small space. It is a great space for lunch, and it will accommodate about 300 students ultimately, depending on how we would schedule those classes. But there's other classroom space in the city of Sunbury that we have also entertained as being a location as the community college project were to grow and expand, that we would be able to utilize additional classroom spaces in the city.
So if the city was to do this for 2020's budget, when do you think the soonest you could have your first class with students?
Again, that will have to also be part of the discussion with the university partner, but this does help them to look more favorably on providing that accreditation for us, and so we would seek to do this by 2021, and that would give us an additional, that year that we are going to need to then make the case to the county commissioners.
So as it stands now, you're looking not for 2020, you're looking for 2021 for the first year of classes.
Correct.
Okay. Have we approached the local school district for classroom space?
We also have had classes in the Shikellamy School, high school. Those were non-credit classes. And again, that could be done. Our approach now is really focused on that university partner. And what they would like to see is that we have the commitment of a region, a municipality that wants to launch the community college project.
You don't have a college that committed to do this, am I correct?
Part of making the case to them is demonstrating that there is a municipality that is seriously interested in having it launch.
Okay, I can appreciate that. I know other school districts utilize their classrooms, extra classrooms to have classes. So if the student is a junior in the school, they can be taking classes. That's why I suggested going back to our high school.
Yes, so dual enrollment classes would be part of that process and having those dual enrollment classes accredited by a university partner would be essential. So I think, does that answer your question?
Yes, yes.
Okay,
Question, you said local church?
yes.
Okay, have you talked to anybody if they can do it or not with the Albright Center?
That also would be some potential classroom
So
space
they know they have
there.
classrooms unless they've changed that.
They-
On the second floor, you have those classrooms?
They certainly do, yes,
I have a question.
yes,
And just legally speaking,
yes.
I believe what you're asking for, but I'm not positive, is a pledge. A commitment that if you find a community partner, university partner, I apologize, and therefore need to obtain the space, you have the commitment of the city to pay the money. Or are you asking for a check January 1st, no matter what? I'm not sure I understand.
A pledge with a letter of intent.
That's fine, sure. I just wanted to make that clear
So,
for everybody.
so it would be just a pledge with a letter of intent if you receive the university accreditation?
University partner.
Partner.
Yes,
We already passed the budget, and there's no
No, we only passed the first reading of it.
But it's 21 anyhow. 2020 isn't an issue here, am I correct?
Correct. What we would need is the letter of intent so that we can present that in our memorandum of agreement to the university partner, demonstrating that there is the support needed in the city of Sunbury.
So to be real clear,
Yes,
what you're looking for is a pledge from this council, as well as a letter of intent to follow that pledge, that the council is willing to provide $6,000 to this effort, community effort, for the purposes of rent, if a university partner appears and is willing to move forward, and that would be for the year 2021.
yes.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure I had it clear while I'm writing things down.
Can the city ask the Davidstein Foundation for any assistance in something like this?
The city can't, okay, because we're not allowed to ask for donations as a municipal entity. They
Look,
can.
plus I understand that it's not the same to have some other private entity give them this support. They want to see the support from the governing,
Commitment from
yeah.
the-
Municipality.
Yeah.
From a taxing entity, right?
Right.
Does that answer your question?
Yes.
Okay.
thank you.
So, I think what you would do, Mayor, is we would want to ask to pass an oral resolution at this time supporting the pledge for 2021 and empowering myself or Jody to write a letter of intent for your signature, which would then be provided to these folks.
And the payment would only be done if they receive.
It's a pledge of payment if they receive partnership such that they are able to utilize the space, the classroom space.
Or we could do up a resolution for the next meeting as well.
That's fine too.
Yeah, have some time to think about it, or?
Yes, I think you should table until we have another council meeting.
Yeah, I forgot we have another meeting in 2 weeks, yeah.
And
We have a whole year or two, right?
I think they want the place now so they can work on it.
Right, so they can pursue that partnership, yep.
So next meeting would be fine to come back to, for a finalized answer, correct?
That would be fine, yes, we would like to do that. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, resolution H2O.
Okay, before the council now is a resolution for pursuit of a H2O Pennsylvania grant of $2 million, and this would be for the sewer and stormwater separation project on Susquehanna Avenue.
Make that form of motion. Are you done, Judy? I'm sorry.
Yeah, with that one, then there's another one related to it.
I'll second.
Karlovic,
Yes.
Kramer, Reichner,
Yes.
Eister.
Yes.
All right, next is a resolution to apply for a Pennsylvania Small Water and Sewer Program grant of $500,000 for that same project, Susquehanna Avenue Sewer and Stormwater Separation.
I'll make the motion.
Second?
Second. Kramer? Yes. Reichner?
Yes.
Eister?
Yes.
Karlovic.
Yes. Councilman Ister?
Yes, I'm looking to hire a young gentleman from the high school, he's 17, as just a part-timer as needed. Small stuff when they're out of school, possibly keep them on then this coming summer. I had Brad do a background check on him, make sure no warrants or anything out on him. And he did pass, am I right, Chief?
Yes, he passed.
Make that for a motion?
So before we make
Yes.
the motion and vote, and I was wondering, did we advertise this position at all or post it anywhere?
No.
How did we find this candidate?
Well, I was talking to his father, and he said his son was looking for a job. And we took and I had Brad run before we did anything. But if you want me to take and post it first,
Did we hire anyone else at all this year without bringing it to council?
I believe so, we did. She was very qualified.
But it wasn't approved by council though?
No.
Okay.
Is there an issue?
I think we should table this until it's properly posted.
Okay, we'll run that and we'll advertise that. Okay. Thank you, Mr.
Councilwoman Kramer, the 10 vote.
I understand Jody has.
I've got the information for you, thank you. This is for the loan, the TAN tax
Tax anticipation.
anticipation note. Done, annually. We put out a request for proposals. We've gotten two proposals back, one from M&T Bank, one from Northumberland National Bank. And the comparison is that M&T Bank, on the terms for a $250,000 note, was a variable rate option, which currently that rate would be 3%. The rate ceiling would be 5%. The rate would be adjusted and looked at monthly. And they also have a $1,500 fees and expenses that would be added on to the cost of that loan. Northumberland National Bank is offering a proposal at the same terms as last year. They handled the note last year, but with a bit lower rate. They have the rate at 1.95%, and that is a fixed rate, and there are no additional expenses. 1.95.
95,
Yes,
fixed.
fixed, and no additional fees.
Make a motion, we use Northumberland National for the TAN loan.
Second.
Ister,
Yes.
Karlovic,
Yes.
Kramer, Reichtner.
Yes.
Invoices and vouchers.
We have invoices for 11/18 for $107,423.58 for the general fund for liquid fuel, $2,876.67. And for 11/25, it's $38,588.54. No liquid fuels for the state. I'd like to make a motion that we pay those vouchers.
Reichtner,
Yes.
Ister,
Yes.
Karlovic,
Yes.
Kramer.
Yes.
So the last council meeting, we were talking about the citywide open container ordinance for New Year's Eve. This is the next council meeting where a decision needs to be made because we're moving forward. So I'll make a motion for an open container waiver for the entire city of Sunbury for the night only of New Year's Eve. Do I have a second?
Second.
Kramer,
Yes.
Reichtner,
Yes.
Ister,
Yes.
Karlovic.
Yes.
I have a question on that. When you're gonna open that up to the public for like that one, what happens if you're out in the street and you see someone that isn't 21 years of age? Then what do you do?
Call the cop.
I don't know.
And Chief, if you can just explain, all laws are in place.
Yeah, and essentially what it is it's basically just it's for people. I don't see a problem, obviously, and I addressed this, I think, 2 meetings ago. I said if we see that it becomes a problem, if we have any issues, we're gonna have extra patrols out that night. If we see it's a problem, obviously we'll go back down to the downtown area. It's more for people, it's gonna be, December 31st, January 1st, I don't think anybody's gonna be out in the backyard having a picnic. It's more for people just to kind of be out, if they want to be out around their neighborhood or stuff like that, to kind of be out. The same laws apply. If you're disorderly, you're public drunk and stuff like that, all those laws apply. You gotta do it responsibly. That's all we're asking people, just to give everybody a little bit of extra leeway that night, because it's New Year's Eve. So.
And this only allows you to walk around with your alcohol in a plastic container, not glass.
Yeah, they had some restrictions on it.
Ms. Ocker, 441 Chestnut Street.
Right, so this is the feasibility study for the police department at 441 Chestnut Street, which is currently a city warehouse. We've gone through step 1 where they did the existing conditions assessment, and now we're in the preliminary design options. Myself, Chief Hare, and Councilman Reese were able to meet with architect Strasser and Bear last week. On Thursday. So they do have 2 preliminary design options, and we looked at both of them and kind of leaning towards one with some modifications. If you'd like to see them, I can show you. It's not final designs. But the other piece that council wanted was a preliminary cost estimate to give you at least a ballpark of where this cost would be, end up being for building out the plan. And for that, Strasser Bear would charge $350, but they would take that off of step 4, which was the final opinion of probable cost. So $350 now to get that ballpark figure, and then if we went forward with the final steps, where you get a final design option, that was $2,000, and then step 4, which would be the opinion of probable cost, originally $1,000, it would be $650, so that would come out of the project. So I need approval of the $350 to pay them for the initial cost estimate.
Make a motion to pay that.
Second.
I have a question. Who's on that committee?
Brad, me, Chris Reese, Derek Wolfgang, office, Mr. Lehman.
And Rick was.
No, we were on the building committee.
What it was they, and just like to interject here, they basically, they just did a preliminary design based on what the property committee gave them. Remember we went over like the square footage of each room, so they basically took that because they built several police departments and they just put it in a drawing for us to kind of look at. More for my looking at it so I can see if it's gonna flow and better. The final actually design phase of it, I mean, that's, I don't know what committee that would be, besides us just looking at it. That was it.
Probably another committee should be used for the finance end of it, or created about the money, locating the money and stuff
And
like that.
I agree with you, and I think Jody would agree with you too, but I think once you hit the 350 to get that part going, then I think you can have another committee.
How much was it to finalize the whole project?
From this point, including the 350 that we're talking about now. So basically, we've spent $5,500 and gotten to step 2, which was the preliminary design options, which they've given us. The next would be final design options for $2,000 and opinion of probable cost, which is $1,000. So the remaining total is $3,000. If we paid $350 now, just to get an idea of whether or not we're even in the same ballpark, that we think it's feasible, that $350 comes out of that remaining $3,000. Make sense? So you can approve $350 to get that ballpark figure now, and then reassess if you want to go forward after you hear that number.
Makes sense.
I think you had a motion in a second.
Yep. Karlovic?
Yes.
Kramer? Reichner?
Yes.
Ister?
Yes.
And Mayor, if I can interject one more time, but I do think going forward after that preliminary comes back, I think it would behoove the council to probably appoint a new committee if they decide to go forward.
Duly noted. Strategic management planning, Ms. Audrey.
Right, so just a reminder, a few weeks ago, the council agreed to go forward with doing a request for proposals for the strategic management planning program, in which we would look for a consultant to come and do that initial financial assessment and 5-year projected financial status of the city. We received 2 sealed proposals. I consulted with Mr. Carpenter at DCED about how we manage these, so he said to open them now. I can tell you who has submitted a proposal and their price, and then we would like to have a committee appointed to review the proposals, and Mr. Carpenter is willing to help us with that, but somebody to look at which is the better proposal to meet the needs of our city.
Jody, while you're doing that, when was the last plan done? Comprehensive plan?
The comprehensive plan, which is different from this, but the comprehensive plan was adopted in 2012. Early intervention program, which was the previous name of this program, was done in 2009. So this is the Pennsylvania Economy League, and their total project is not to exceed $47,125. And their proposal is in this packet. Then this is from Management Partners firm, and their price proposal total is $63,900.
Big difference.
There's a bit of a difference, but again, it depends on what's all in the proposal about the products that they will give us, the type of follow-up that they would be able to have with us. And remembering that the match for this is 70-30, so the city would be responsible for 30% of the cost of the consultant. And then after they provided a report with recommendations, the city would then also be able to keep that 70-30 match as they go forward and request grants to pursue any of those recommendations.
And we're not forced to pay this up front, correct?
Correct. So after the product is delivered and we're in this program for 3 years, it's over the course of that 3 years, then at the end, we would be responsible for our 30%.
Do we need a decision tonight on
Would
this?
you like to establish a committee to review the proposal?
Yes.
Also in that committee, I think we should review 2009's report and see how much was accomplished in the last 10 years, if anything, or if a lot of it. And how much the city has truly changed from that report
Right.
in 2009 to the present.
Yeah, I think one of the key things is that having the structure and organization commitment after it's done to pursue the recommendations, I think that's a key aspect of it.
Well, I guess let's make it formalized, right? Make a motion to form a committee, a review committee for this. Do I have a second?
Second.
Ister,
Yes.
Reichner,
Yes.
Karlovic.
Yes.
Kramer.
No.
First reading of cable television.
So I briefly presented this a couple weeks ago. You asked me to have our solicitor review it. The solicitor did review it, had one recommended change that I went back to the Service Electric with, and it had to do with the use of the word solely in section 12, and it was struck from it. And so the solicitor, I believe, is satisfied with the draft.
Yes.
How about the term, Joel, regarding the audits? We have requested audits and we have never received one. I think we should get an audit before we sign anything.
I think we also asked to have, that it's our cost, the audit is our cost.
Okay. I wasn't aware of the auditing, that we had a history with them. I know it's in here. I'm saying I didn't know we had a history of not getting them when we request them. All right, so what you're saying is that we can audit before we commit to this and at their cost.
Yes.
Do you have a year from the last time we received an audit for the city?
We never got one. Not this.
I don't know. I know we requested 3 to 5 years ago and never got them.
I think it's smart to get an audit before we finalize it.
I know we got them a long time ago, but we haven't.
Okay, so what we want is an audit of the gross revenues and franchise fee payments, for how long?
Last 2 years at least. And I think they also give us actually a head count, or not a head count, a service count, how many customer base they have in the city of Sunbury.
What typically happens then is they raise their prices and then people stop getting cable and it goes into satellite dishes. And so they raise the price of the cable more.
Okay. I guess we don't, well, yeah, we probably should, if this is being presented for approval. Do we have a motion to table this until such time as we can make a request to the Source Electric Cable for a 2-year audit at their cost with a customer base count relative thereto?
Turn that into a form of motion.
I'll second. Now also, we get paid, our percentage is on the income that they bring in. So if they increase their prices, we get that income.
Right.
No, because then people stop buying the cable and then they go to satellite dishes. That's what's been happening in the past.
Well, we're not saying we want them to increase their prices.
No, but that's what happened.
Right, if they do that, they're biting their own, I'll keep my mouth shut. That's not a good idea, business-wise, so, okay. So, you made a motion, do we have a second?
Second. Kramer?
Joel.
She said yes.
Reichner?
Yes.
Eister?
Yes.
Karlovic?
Yes. Wes Ocker, hire and wage.
Okay, so, I guess this topic is apropos for this evening. I would like some clarification on the procedures and the policy for hiring and establishing wages. So I think that there is some difference of opinion among council members as to what needs to be brought to council or has to have the approval of council to be voted on as far as hires or giving anyone a raise. So I'm asking the council to decide and come to consensus on that so that then I can, properly execute the policies of the city. There is some information in the employee manual about hiring. There's nothing in there necessarily that says that the hire has to be voted on. In our ordinance, under the supervision of personnel, it says that the director of each executive department of the city of Sunbury shall have general supervision and overall responsibility for the work assignment of employees within the department of the director. Council shall prescribe by ordinance the number, duties, and compensation of the officers and employees of the city. Additionally, council shall have the sole authority to appoint and dismiss all city officers and employees. So there may be some variation in interpretation of that. So I'm just kind of asking for a discussion and a decision on what the procedure is to hire an employee or to give an employee a raise.
I think it all has to go to the council and be approved by the council for raises and for hires.
That's my understanding.
What is the first page of this general employment? Where did that come from?
That comes from the employee manual.
Okay, that's what I thought.
And that was adopted sometime in 2007, 2009 maybe. There are many things in that employee manual that are not being followed. And there is an opportunity, of course, to update the employee manual to however you would like the policy to read.
I think we should table this, just legally, until we have a chance for everybody to go over it clearly. Obviously, I didn't know this was coming up tonight, but I see a legal problem that could result in litigation with at least one of the paragraphs in this selection process for employment. I also see a very vague term under the hiring process, so I really think this ought to be not voted on tonight, but that's just my legal opinion.
Lady solicitor.
And this was something that was approved prior years.
Right,
Okay.
right, that's what I'm saying, that's why I
Right.
wanna, before we approve the thing, I'd rather take a look at it.
And I think, you have an ordinance and then you have this employee manual, which, is a policy approved by council, but if there's some discrepancy between the two, we need to resolve them.
Sure.
And I just want to make sure everything is done correctly across the board.
Well, I think the handbook itself should be going through.
Yes, that is true.
So we're gonna do this section, I think the whole handbook should be done at the same time.
Now, there was one revision done, we changed some holidays to personal days. last year, and that was voted on and passed, so there should be an addendum or whatever in that thing, if I don't know if there is or not, but there should be.
All right.
Right after we get done with codification.
Yes, that is a priority.
Are we in a schedule for that?
We're meeting again tomorrow afternoon, 1 to 3. We have set aside, and we'll keep pushing through.
All right, Brad, how is our heating situation at the PD right now for the winter?
We got the heat actually working in the first floor. That was switched over. That's good. The second floor, we got that running again. Just the same, it's the same stuff that's part of the reason why we're moving forward. Hopefully with the project as a new police department is to get everything working under one roof. So other than that, it's all
Do y'all have adequate heat for now?
for now.
Let me know, Brad, if you get cold.
I will.
Stop on and say.
We'll buy a sweater.
So I've been hearing that there's plans to upgrade City Hall for natural gas for the heating source, and I was wondering what the process is, Councilman Eister, because we do have heaters that need to be maintained, serviced, or replaced, because they are not operating correctly, such as our city administrator so kindly purchased 2 room heaters for my office.
Yeah, I know. We
Yeah,
discussed this.
I discussed it with him, and that
So
was.
I just want to know what is
We
the,
have gas in the building, we're getting prices, Jody and I talked about it. I also told him about getting you a sweater if you get chilly. And put the heater under your desk because your feet, they say when your feet's warm, you're warm.
all right, so I'm talking about the building as a whole, Councilman.
We are working on it. We have gas in the
All right, is
building.
it in the 2020 budget?
We'll take and get you heat.
I'm not worried about myself, I'm worried about all of the different departments. 'Cause
Second and third.
almost every heater is not operating correctly.
Well,
Second
you
and
know
third,
more about it than I do.
second and third floor's already done.
Third floor's brand
Is
new.
there a third floor, okay?
We are working on it. I'll give you an update next meeting. How's that?
Okay.
Okay? And we'll get you heat. You're first on the list.
No, the employees are first. I'm
Oh.
fine with the table for now.
Thank you. Take those heaters out and give them to Brad.
I have heat. We're good.
Oh, okay.
All right, this is everybody's favorite for the year. Free parking begins November 28th and ends January 2nd. The Santa Parade is Friday, November 29th from 6 p.m. and the Santa House is open until 9 p.m. Late Night Shoppers is in Sunbury is November 5th, 5 p.m. to 9 p.m.
December.
Oh, December, sorry.
Play phone.
We're gonna read these no more.
And you can read the rest of the announcements on the agenda. Is there any audience comment at this time?
Real quick, Mr. Mayor, on November 30th, just so everybody sees, around 11:30 until 12 will be a scooter/motorcycle ride with a bunch of Santas and holiday people. So if you see them, wave, say hi. They'll be riding around Sunbury all day for half an hour.
And the PD's going to be
Yeah, and one of our guys are going to be escorting them through town. So if you see them, just wave.
Okay, any audience comments? Please stand.
I don't know what your, oh. I'm Sandra Hine, I live on Chestnut Street. You talked about the hiring and wage increase policy. I just want to state my opinion. I think no city I don't know what the cost of living is here, but I would like the city of Sunbury, the lowest paid employees of the city of Sunbury make a living wage. And I don't know if anybody's done that or if you're aware of it around here, but I would like my taxes to go for paying for somebody able to live.
Thank you.
Mayor, I have a question. Councilwoman Kramer, I thought we were gonna have the second vote on the budget tonight.
I thought we were too, but apparently it's not in the agenda to do
Haven't
that.
wanted to wait till the 1st of December because people have been adding and moving numbers around.
So that was at the treasurer's request
Mm-hmm.
to delay it until December 9th?
Any other audience comments tonight? Please stand.
Again, Rich Stahl Jr. My question, I know I was here a few months ago. Eric Long, I guess, took this on. I don't know who we actually reached out to, but at, down between Jimmy's property and Spruce Street, we had a cat problem. And I'd just like to thank, Eric, he's not here, that apparently he reached out to the right person because we've had 42 cats. I talked to the lady that's actually trapping these cats. There was 42 cats that she actually took to her place, and she comes all the way up from Harrisburg. And she's got homes from them, she spaded and she neutered every single one of them. So she actually took 42 cats and got us down to 14. So I don't know if, who Eric reached out to, but I've been hearing there's other places throughout the city of Sunbury that have some problems. For this program that I guess is supposed to be started up, I'm trying to help her out. She gave me her personal phone number too, because if she gets a cat, I mean, she has to come all the way from Harrisburg. So, she asked me if I would help her, and I told her I would. So, but, I just want to thank, council members that, whatever this program is called, I mean, I really appreciate it because there's times, like I said, we couldn't set out because it was so bad.
When did you talk to her last?
I talked to her on Friday.
She got 2 more, no, that was Friday, she got 2 more, yeah.
She got one tonight too.
Yeah, and, this morning I went and checked the trap, she had a possum. So I loaded it up and took it to them, took it out by, the heck's that, the hill that goes up over to.
Forest Hill.
Forest Hill, yeah. Went out there and just set it free, so, you can't wait until she gets here, to set it free, so she is trying, and I really appreciate it. So,
Thanks for bringing that to our attention. Any other audience comments tonight? Please stand towards the podium.
Mayor Nisley, and I'm just curious what's going on with the land where the old city dump used to be. What the city's plan is for that land?
On the other side of the dike system.
Yeah.
Yeah, on the other side of Shamokin Creek.
I don't think we have
I
a
don't think we
plan
have
right now
anything.
because we don't own the bridge to get across
We don't have
there.
access to get over there, that's
And
true.
we don't, and I don't think anybody wants to rebuild that bridge either.
The bridge was owned by the county sold to a gentleman for $1 because they didn't want the responsibility. He still owns it. There's a home over there, Mr. Long lives over there,
right.
and that's the situation right now. The acreage, there's a lot of good acreage, other than it was a landfill at one time, but there's things that could be done with it, but we probably want $250,000 to rebuild the bridge. That's the issue, the bridge.
Is there no other entry point?
Now, it used to bring it off out here by, down on the top. But that's a situation, it's a sad situation, but possibly someday we would find a use to be feasible, to rebuild a bridge, to utilize that property to the ideal thing. But that's a tough one. At one point in time, they were gonna put a solar farm over there, but that kind of fell through.
Due to the bridge, or?
Well, definitely, that was gonna be in the package, but it wasn't cost effective.
That way, yeah, right. It's not cost effective for the city.
Is that ground that would be, the city would consider selling or no?
Being the fact it was a landfill, no, because of the exposure. Right, Joel?
Yeah. The problem would be that we're not allowed to pass as a municipality, really nobody should, but pass a possible liability such as the landfill, because who knows what was put in there over the years, along to the next person knowing what it is. Unless, I mean, if it's another entity that signs off on it and would know, it's a little different than selling it to a private party.
Okay.
What were you looking at doing with it?
I was more curious than anything. It seemed like a fair amount of land that was just vacant and
Could
nothing.
be developed.
Huh?
It could not be developed.
Okay.
There's a deer over there.
We went there, we went through that with, DC. Yeah, the solar field would have been fine, but could not. no residential.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
I was told that, you know, at one time there was a grant given, I think it was for $10,000 to rebuild that bridge. And no one knows what happened to that grant.
Well, that wouldn't be ours anyway, it'd be the county.
I mean, I don't, that's what I
That was a
heard.
county bridge.
I mean,
$10,000 would rebuild that bridge.
Do we have any other audience comments tonight? All right, thank you all for coming out tonight. Next council meeting is December 9th at 6:15 p.m. Meeting sound adjourned.